Kimberly Cordero and entourage.
Yes, she needs an entourage.
She dovetailed her career in social work and mental health therapy with her interest in fly fishing and now serves as the lead mentor of the Boise Mayfly project. Kimberly enjoys coming alongside others on their journey of healing and exploration. When the Mayfly project came across her radar, she knew she had to be part of this team. Kimberly continues to look forward to giving back to youth in foster care and helping them develop life skills, self-care, and resiliency through the Mayfly project. Kimberly is also a member of Women Fly Fishers of Idaho.
Cool, thank you. All right, make sure I'm standing in the right place.
And make sure that we can see
I'm
everything.
gonna take this off for right now. So just to introduce as Kim, I'm the lead mentor in this area. I have Jeremy Sanders with me. He is our co-lead, and then you guys are moving a little bit. Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying not to block the screen. Okay. Yeah. I'm short enough. I should be good.
And then this is Rob Briggs. He
Hello.
is our fundraising guru. So without further ado, let's start. Okay, what is the Mayfly Project? Super simple. The Mayfly Project is a national 501, I always say it wrong, C3 nonprofit who pairs kids in foster care with mentors in fly fishing. It's an awesome program. It's been around for a while. In Idaho, we had one up north and we had one in eastern Idaho, but we didn't have one in Boise, which is very unusual because we are the largest demographic in Idaho. Okay, next I have a video for you.
My name is Nick. I live with my mom, but she was getting into drugs and alcohol. Pretty much didn't want anything to do with me.
So sorry, guys.
My name is Nick. I live with my mom, but she was getting into drugs and alcohol. Pretty much didn't want anything to do with me. So she decided to take off one time and left me in the minivan. It kind of makes me a little sad that she would just do that and not even care. I mean, it was her decision, not mine. I didn't choose to be left in the minivan. I just wanted. It's just a better life than I'm already having right now. Yes, I would like to be adopted, just for me to get, get to actually be in a home that I can actually call home, and like a family I can actually care for, and they can care for me. I would love someone who's loves to be outside a lot, loves to fish, hunt, ride horses, go money. I mean, it's just the best thing ever to do. If you really get to know me, I'm a real fun guy. Being outside in the woods is like a coping strategy. But fly fishing has got to be my #1 favorite thing. Good job, buddy. Now that I've learned from the Mayfly project how to fly fish, I might continue it and just show other kids like, hey, have you heard of fly fishing? And if they say no, I'm gonna be like, it's the next best thing. It is the most funnest thing to do. There's a quote I've been using not too long ago that just was something like this: if it's a how, there's a way. And if it's with me climbing Mount Everest, I will do it. If it's me running for 5 miles, I will do it. I mean, I'm going to achieve my goals one way or another. And there are better times coming around the corner.
Okay, so on to the next slide. So the impact of the Mayfly project is quite profound. You know, nationwide, working with kids in foster care. In Idaho, we have a unique opportunity. We not only work with kids in foster care, we work with IRAP, it's Idaho Relatives as Parents. So When kids are removed from the parents, sometimes the state will do a voluntary plan and place the kids with grandparents or relatives, avoid supports interaction. But the really important thing to remember is these kids are dealing with the same issues as if they were brought into the state of Idaho's custody. We also work with kids post-adoption. So any kid who's been adopted out of foster care, guess what? Come join the Mayfly. This is just a map of where most of the Mayfly projects are. Thankfully, Boise, we finally are on here, which I love. This last year in 2021, the first UK Mayfly project started, and they had a phenomenal year, which was super cool. Just talk about the demographic. Okay, this next video is just kind of explaining what the mentors do. And then after this, I'm going to have Jeremy and Rob, they're going to talk a little bit about what our mentors did here this year. Oops, wait, stop.
Everything in the platform. Hey guys, this is Justin Taylor from the Mayfly Project. And this video is just to introduce new mentors to how the Mayfly Project roughly works, to give you an idea of a first phone conversation, you'll have an idea of what's going on, and at least gather some questions to ask. So Kate, do you want to go over our goals?
Sure, yeah. Some of our goals for the Mayfly project is obviously to get kids out fly fishing. We also hope to introduce conservation to children. They can learn to have that connection with the outdoors and to experience helping picking up rivers or helping with that process. Our other goal is just to provide as much fun as we can for kids. So during our project, I'm going through all different kinds of things to make sure the kids are having a blast and just keeping their spirits up and having a blast fly fishing. So those are our main goals.
Yeah, so one of the first questions we have to answer is what is a project? So a project from the Mayfly Project means 5 outings with our kids for 4 sessions. These sessions, the first 4 sessions typically last 2 to 4 hours and cover anything from casting to fly tying to entomology, just really get the kids used to their fly rods, used to their knots, all that good stuff. And we actually do on the 5th outing, we like to take our kids on a all-day trip or a overnight trip, depending on what group home you're working with. And then outfit the kids on that 5th outing, everything the fly fishing on their own. So we're on a fly rod, on a pack, flies. So basically our goal is to take the kid from point A, which is probably never have fly fishing, maybe even never heard of fly fishing, to point B, which is knowing how to rig up their own rod, tie their own flies on, maybe tie their own flies, and hit the water on their own. So we're hoping with this progression will help them deal with any kind of anxiety or stress that's in their life due to their current situation. It's really not in their control. So, we do a 1-to-1 mentor and mentee ratio, and that creates accountability both for you guys and for the kids, just that way they're making accusations. And so, yeah, so we have some expectations that Kate will talk about for them.
Yeah, so for mentors, we expect you to go through our safety manual and understand all the rules that go along with being a mentor. We ask that you provide consistency. The kids we work with have been through a lot, or they have been left behind. They have had a lot of adults not follow through in their life. So our goal as a Mayfly project is to be able to follow through and show them as they were going to. If you commit to a project date, just ask them to follow through at that date and communicate with us. We also ask that you just make sure you understand our mentor and you understand all our policies and just that you're there to make it as fun as possible for the kids. So we couldn't do it without your help, and we're so excited to see all these things out.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for applying me, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay, so that was Jess. He's the founder. And I think his story is somewhere on the website. One day he was in church, he was learning about foster care, and his heart went out. And he said, don't know if I can be a foster parent, but surely I can come up with something to help these youth who are struggling. Mayfly was born. Caitlin is the co-director. She's up north. She's worked with the department off and on in child welfare, but now she does that. I'm not sure what else she does. So if you guys are interested in signing up, go to the Mayfly Project's website. There's a link. Get involved, mentoring, current project application. Application includes your basic information, providing 3 references and a background check. And then we go from there. So as was mentioned in the video, one of our pushes in the last couple of years has been conservation. We do have a conservation mentor. He's super cool. His name is Nick Porter. He has 2 masters, One's in fish biology. Like this guy can totally nerd out on fish. I mean, like he's talking to the kids for like 3 hours about, fish and what they eat and water columns and ecosystems. And he's just really, really neat. So he makes it fun for the kids. Another thing to point out, when the kids are out with us, they have an opportunity to earn buttons and anything, fish on, catch and release, cleaning up the stream, which is super cool. I want to share a quote with you from one of our members this year. She said, I took my Mayfly bag with me to the last day of school with my buttons on it. I wanted my friends to know I am part of something fun. Yeah, it was really, really, and I'm like, you're giving me goosebumps. Can I do this another year then? Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to Jeremy and Rob, who are going to talk to you about the phases we have on the 5 projects, 5 project outings.
Yeah, so for the first couple of meetings, basically, we're doing basic things. We're showing them how to put their rod together. We're showing them how to tie a fly on. We're showing basic fishing. For the most part, we're taking like Kleiner Pond, like right here is where we really went a lot this year, to basically show these kids like how to fish. And one of our big goals was every trip that they get to at least hook a fish and get to fight a fish. That was something that we made a really big point to have because, quite frankly, they're kids, like they want to be stimulated in some way. So catching a fish to them is super important, and we found that to be very rewarding for them at pretty much every avenue. Like that is what kept them involved.
Well, I will say I'm the new guy that's part of the group, and I was a fly fishing guide, and Kim was one of my clients. And that first picture that we just saw, that was the first time I was involved with it. And I gotta tell you, I was instantly awed at what these guys do. I was so excited, and I knew I had to be a part of it. So after I got all my credentials done, I was like, I got to be a part of this because this is so much fun just to see these kids doing what I love to do and knowing that we're planting that seed for them to fly fish their whole entire life was huge to me. So anyway, this was super fun.
This is the outing that Rob came to. This is our second outing. And so we busted out hula hoops and it was casting, and he is so great with kids. Kids had fun, they were catching trees, but they were making it into a hula hoop. It was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Especially if you see the kids, and I've got 3 kids of my own. I just wanted to grab them all up and go, let's get in my truck. You're coming with me. We're going fishing the rest of the day. And I was so excited. And this little spot right here, full of fish, and everybody just took turns just catching fish. It was so amazing. It was so fun. So
well, and you'll see in this picture, guys, Jess or Kaylin had talked about a 1-to-1. In our area, we do a 2-to-1. So there's 2 mentors per 1 kid. Literally, if you're out fishing for 4 hours, there are only so many knots you can take out before you'll lose your mind and not want to come to the next outing.
So many things that get untangled and
Right.
hooking weird stuff.
Right. Well, and one thing we found doing the 2-to-1, we've had a couple mentors, myself included, we couldn't make one at the 5. But if a kid has a relationship with you, with 2 of you, when one's gone, that bond is still there, right? These kids have a lot of changes. A lot of times people don't show up for them. So the 2-to-1 is another way for us to make sure that we are consistent with them and we do help them have a good time. Okay, next phase.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go up to the last one.
Oh,
Because
I
I
want to
think
show
that,
this really
oh, you want
quick.
to show this one? Oh yeah, this is Rob. Yeah, of course.
So this was at my house. We're building a house right here on the North Channel of the Boise River. And I said, hey, you know what? I want to be involved. What can I do? Kim and Jeremy were like, let's find a place. I said, I got a pond in my front yard. It's full of little bluegill. There's some bass in there. So you can see we got a little beach and it was fun. We sat there, we talked about how to hold a fish correctly. We talked about, picking up trash, and it's a structured event. It's not just like, hey, let's just let the kids run around and wear themselves out and send them back. This is where you can see we're sitting here in the shade because it was hot. And my dog Emma was there making sure everybody's doing the right thing. It was really fun. I think everybody caught fish on that one as well too. And so it was a great time. And Andy's up there talking probably about.
And he's also a foster parent. So he's a foster parent, avid fly fisher, and also part of the Mayfly project. Super neat guy.
Yes, and that's the other thing too. The people that are helping out as mentors, class acts, all of them, they are not out there just to do something just to say, well, I went and did this. They're there because of the kids. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah, we take that part of it very seriously. It's not about us,
Exactly.
about having the kids have as best a time as possible. Sometimes they don't necessarily want to fish. They're going to turn over rocks and look at bugs, or
So we
you know,
follow
with
them.
their feet in the water, so.
Find out, yeah, which bug is that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really fun.
Okay, you want me to skip to the final one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I have a video to play. You want me to play it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is our final outing. The final outing is an all day. The first 4 outings are anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. This is a full day. This is the first time we actually had these kids on trout. It was a lot of fun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, so the final outing is probably the crown gem of the whole project. It's what everything comes up to or comes back to. We get to take them, this year we took them up to the Middle Fork of the Boise. It's pretty easy fishing if you guys have ever fished it before, but they really enjoy. The whole kind of program is centered around trout specific. So catching bluegill, bass, things like that's fun, but they're like, hey, where are the trout at? Like, you know, when are we gonna catch, you know, what's on the logo, things like that. So that's important to them. And it's a day trip, it's super fun. We went up there, we caught a ton of fish, we had great food, great camaraderie amongst the mentors and the mentees. It's just it's a blast. Like I didn't really fish at all. And it was one of my favorite
Right.
things I did this summer. So that gives you an idea.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so nuts and bolts. Each year, to put a kid through, it's $780. And that includes their fly rod, a pack, flies, reel, backing, line, stick, leader, nippers, forceps. So they get all of that. Then I think 150 of that funds the directors at the national level. We don't ask our members to give money. That's why we have this guy. He's our fundraising guru. This is our first year having to fundraise. Last year, Caitlin was able to get a grant. She's like, hey, Kim, if you can start within a year, I'll give you some money. I'm like, I need pressure. Okay. So that's one thing we do. And then another thing our project is doing this year is the first Saturday of every month, Rock again, is going to be coordinating a fishing day. So that will allow us to build camaraderie as a team. It's not my show, it's not Jeremy's show, it is the team show. And when we have that buy-in, you're going to be more likely to show up and be committed than if you don't. One more video.
But most days, the only constant is change. And the pressure is always rising. The broken promises add up, and life feels out of your control. You can't help but slowly let down of hope, of dreams, possibility. Until someone or something proves you wrong, or introduces you to a place that you can call your own. Welcome to our sanctuary, where stress rolls away with the river and hope is increased with every fish we catch. Where a high five can change your spirit and cast all trouble. Together in the river, we will find patience, excitement, opportunity, perseverance, and friendship. beyond the gift of a fly ride. It is the Mayfly Project.
Okay. Well, we truly appreciate your guys' time. Do you have any questions before we wrap it up? Yes, ma'am.
So how many kids do you take out on your dad outings sometime?
So this year we want to take 10. So right now we have 17 mentors. I will not turn a mentor away, like, come on, come on. We'll just figure out, various roles for everyone during the outing. But this year we want 10, and that's our fundraising goal. Last year we had a lot of difficulty recruiting children in foster care. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, Child Welfare Division, they're always having a high turnover. COVID complicated everything. Some foster families and adoptive families were really leery about, having their kids involved. All of our stuff except for one was outside. So this year we're really, this is when I get busy with my job, and it's networking and getting a hold of the department again, and adoption agencies, and IRAP, and so yeah, definitely 10.
What about the age ranges?
So the age range the Mayfly does, I think it's 8 to 17. Last year we really did try to target teenagers. It's really hard to find activities for teens. Okay, you're in foster care. Life pretty is not great at that point. All these other kids have stuff to do. What do you do as a teen? Would love to target that. Again, I'm not going to turn away kids who are interested, but that is like our focus this year if we can. Yeah.
Where does the financing come from? For their waiters, their rods?
From the donations. So Jess, the founder, the one who was holding the fish, if you guys join, you will get really used to those plastic fishes. Like we have them all the time. He has deals with Temple Fork Outfitters, Red Truck Fly Rods, Portland. There's a bunch of others. So
I think is in there. There's a bunch of big companies that are
Yeah.
associated with us.
So they have brokered a deal that we get the supplies at either cost or below, which is super cool. Each project has to fundraise, and whatever we raise stays with us. It doesn't go to, the Corvallis project is lacking funds, we're going to borrow from theirs. It literally stays with ours.
And how much did you say it was the cost for each kid?
780. Yeah, and one of our biggest fundraising days is Facebook's Giving Tuesday. They match dollar for dollar for nonprofits. So, if your guys are like, hey, I'd like to give 20 bucks or however many, do it on Giving Tuesday.
Yes, please.
Like,
Yes.
that is the one we want to hit. So
Is it absolutely limited to just kids in the foster care program, or could it be troubled teens? Who could benefit?
absolutely limited kids in foster care. So kids who are working with Idaho relatives with parents, right? Kids in foster, kids who've been adopted out of foster care. There's a lot of programs. In fact, there's one in, I want to say Twin Falls, maybe. Probation officers have gotten together who fly fish, and one of the incentives for the kids on probation is to fly fish with them. And that was really cool. They reached out to us when we started Boise Project, and we serve kids, but it's different populations. Yeah.
Okay, so how many times a year do you do the 5-phase projects? Is it just once a year?
Nope. So last year we did it over a span of 3 months, usually 2 months. This year we're moving them a little bit closer. We had our, I forgot to put this up. So this is like all of us brainstorming at the end of the season. So we have the first 2 weekends in May, the first 2 weekends in June, and the second weekend in July.
That's right, yeah.
And it's hard to balance that because, our kids are in school, right? And they have sports, and they have extracurricular, or, their foster families are doing things. So we thought, well, maybe let's do it in the fall, well, sports and all of that. And we thought, well, let's do it in the spring, well, sports again. So we wanted to do it condensed. What we ran into this last project is kids were on vacation, or our final project was about 6 weeks late because of the heat. Didn't want the kids to have a heat stroke, didn't want the mentors to have a heat stroke, didn't want to damage any of the trout. So having it later, we had a couple kids who had started football practice and football games. And so that was, difficult for me.
Yeah, but we do that cycle like once a year right now.
Yeah.
There are some projects I believe they do 2 times a year,
Right.
but we're just not to that point yet where we have those connections with the health and welfare, so we
Right.
have that many kids.
Well, in
Do you follow
Denver,
up with the kids after they're done with the fire?
So one of the things that typically no, and that's for several reasons, right? These kids have a lot of trauma. They easily attach, and that attachment, unless you're trained, could not be healthy for you or the child. They do end up taking the infant fly stuff I mentioned earlier with we were talking about having an alum group once a year. So, kids who've gone through the Mayfly can come and be part of that, but we're really, the kids don't get your number, they don't get your information, they just simply know you as being their fly fishing mentor, because it's not about you, it's about the kids. And we really want to foster that healthy attachment and the attachment to the sport, not necessarily to the individual. If that makes sense. We want them to be attached to you during 5 outings as a mentor, but after that, use that information to foster a healthy attachment with someone maybe in your community who wasn't your mentor. Yeah. And that's another thing about the Mayfly project. I'm a therapist, have extensive background in child welfare, worked with them for way too many years. And we do have trainings on how do you work with kids who've been through a lot of trauma, right? There's personal space bubble. I think it's natural for most of us to tease each other when we're fishing. Some of the kids this year, I was really impressed they didn't haul off and flock their mentor, or cuss them out. But, there's definitely a different approach with kids who've been through trauma and who have a lot of trauma. And it's not to say you can't be yourself, it's just knowing how to tread a little bit lighter.
Right, and being someone who was in the foster system and things like that as a child, like Kim's way to me is the best way for these kids. As someone from there, things like that. So it is, you do kind of get attached to the kids. Like my kid was awesome, Jason was awesome. But it's one of those things where we have to really separate ourselves. It's just about the kid.
Right. And the pictures you saw, so we have to get permission to use their photographs, and all of our either relatives or adoptive parents gave us permission. So I'm like, sweet, you guys are learning our campaign stuff. Any other questions?
Do you provide any education or support to the adopting parents or the foster parents so that they could continue?
So one of our adoptive parents came to every meeting, yeah, super cool guy. So they can totally come, they can watch, they can do all of that, but we don't, go out of our way to teach them. They can listen, but it's really about the kids. And some of the kids are like, foster parent, you're on cool leave, this is my space. Totally up to the kid and also the foster family and their relatives. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love you guys to join up as mentors. We really need a lot of mentors this year. That is looking to make a big
We really need, there's 2 of us on the team, myself and Jessica, who are women. We did have another one, she got pregnant and she was super cool, but we definitely need some women guys.
Okay, as a mentor, what are your days that you do it, or like?
Sorry, I'm being blinded.
I mean, like.
So they're Saturdays. Our meetings are on Saturdays, and they're usually in the morning from like 9 to 12, 9 to 11. And we with this year, and our team this year is absolutely phenomenal. 95% of our mentors committed to coming to every single meeting, and they showed up. And during the meetings, you guys have roles. You're going to be teaching, you're going to be explaining. We have a curriculum book, and so we teach from that. And so literally like the first 30 to 45 minutes is the mentors talking about how to fly fish and how to do things. So like literally I count, and Jeremy counts from we count on every single person to have a piece of that every meeting.
Yeah. How many meetings?
5.
So there's just a total of 5 Saturdays?
Yeah.
What if you're not really that great of a fly fisher?
I am so glad you asked that. Okay, no. So there's a project that started somewhere back east this year, and there was 5 people who got a hold of Jess, and they said, we heard about the Mayfly, we love it, we want to do it. Here's the catch: we don't fly fish. And Jess and Caitlin said, no problem. Teach you guys how to fly fish. Taught them how to fly fish. They started their project.
And there's other stuff to do too, teaching, hey, you know what, we see garbage, let's pick it up. Oh, let's put it in the net. It's a fly fishing base, but there's other ways to help out as well too. Somebody usually cooks food and cleans up after. There's all kinds of stuff to do.
Right, and all the mentors have varying degrees of fly fishing pedigree. Rob's been a guide and things like that. Things like that. He's kind of the expert in all of things. And there's people like me. I just fish a lot. There's a very
Well, and you don't have to be an expert to lead.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is compassion. Your heart's in the right place.
I drive a school bus, I just, special needs school bus,
You
so
would be perfect.
I.
Please sign up.
It'd be very interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I started fly fishing because I got to, started the hobby of tying flies, and so
Oh,
I
that's
said, now that I'm
neat.
tying flies, I should work out flying.
Well, you're in the
That's
right group.
awesome.
So now it's
Yeah.
time to learn how to fly fish.
Right?
And if you can't commit to every event, like if you can come to 3 of the 5, we would still want to.
And what we'll do is, let us know that in advance, because I'll pair you with a fellow mentor who will be there, right? And make sure that you don't have opposing days that you're off. Like like Jeremy and I mean, there's a ton of backing and planning behind our outings, so.
I can make 5 Saturdays,
Yeah.
unless it has conflicts with our outings.
Bruno.
Oh, yeah,
Not Bruno, not Bruno,
I
Val.
already signed up for Bruno. I already got my,
Are there any
reservation.
other questions, guys?
No, I don't think so, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.